All right.
Hello. Is the camera going?
The camera is going.
Slay.
Camera's going, guys.
Nice. You need to set up a little camera behind, like a mirror behind the camera so you can see the pauses.
I should.
Okay. Hello. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're starting a new series on The Illustrated Man.
A new book.
It's the same author who wrote The Martian Chronicles.
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit was a good book. That's one of the most popular ones.
They make you read that in school.
Yeah, exactly. But The Illustrated Man is a new book. So first we start off with a preface, right? And then it's not a continuous string of story, like a storybook kind of thing. It's more section by section, story by story.
Bar by bar.
Bar for bar, word for word. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over a chapter, which is one story, kind of talk about it, thoughts, reflections, criticism. Duh. Okay, good. Now
Starting
cuts
out with
off.
preface.
Curtain down.
Curtain down.
Curtain down. Okay, preface. We get a brief little intro of who the Illustrated Man is before we get into his stories. So it's this guy who, circus by day, lonesome man by night, I guess.
Yeah.
Cat doesn't really hang out with people. So basically he works for the circus. He broke his arm, and what he had to do to, stay in the showbiz was, get tattoos. He got tattooed by this one lady, a witch lady, who he says went into the future, came back, blah, blah, blah. Gave him a ton of illustrations, not tattoos, illustrations. They're more detailed.
They're not simply tats. They
tell a story.
They're art.
Yes, and these ones actually do tell a story. So every part of his body is just covered with illustrations, except one of his shoulders. But the stories move at night, and many people who look at the stories are just captivated for hours about, all the stories that they see. And eventually, once somebody hangs out with him long enough, they look at the back of his shoulder on this empty spot. And he said, if it's a woman, then the woman can see her life play out, how she lives, how she dies, what she's gonna look like. And if it's a man, the man sees his horrible death. So
really the same thing almost.
I mean, it made it sound like the women don't really get such an awful death.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
I don't know. Women seeing what they look like when they're 50 seems like not
awful.
Flattering.
Their vanity. So he pretty much gets fired because of that, because nobody really likes watching that, and they kind of go kooky after seeing their death. So yeah.
I like something that, this is before when they're describing this witch, this time traveling lady. And she kind of seems like a witch, but one of the lines I like is, one second she looks 1,000 years old, the next second she looks 20 years old. So not even a witch sometimes, just sometimes a young lady, but sometimes a really old, decrepit lady. And it's just kind of, her fluidity in time.
So now it's nighttime. The Illustrated Man's telling this other guy, his companion or person spending the night with him, basically describing hey, these are what my illustrations are, blah, blah, blah. And so now we see the Illustrated Man going to sleep, or, going to sleep. And the man next to him stays up and looks at his tattoos. And so this is what the rest of the stories are going to be just the stories that he sees on his body.
Is the preface.
Okay.
Chapter 9.
Story 1.
One, if you may.
It's called The Vault, right? The Vault. So this takes place in the future, of course, or in the future. And imagine this super rich family. They got the tech house, like that one Disney movie where the mom is the house, and she's that's what I was envisioning.
It's because this book is written in the 50s or around that time period. It's a very 50s type future. It's literally I'm envisioning Fallout. And I'll tell you why, but just imagine the little the robot kind of helper making your coffee and everything. And like the machines are doing everything in the house.
Yep, so they basically do everything for them. But there's this big old room, and it's kind of like a play area for the kids. So it's parents, 2 kids, and the kids go out and hang out in the play area, and they can like create like whatever kind of scenery they want. Like if you want to go to Disneyland, which is probably what a ton of kids want, you know, they got it.
Is that where you would go?
No, I would probably go to Africa.
You go to Africa too.
No. But yeah, they have this, the parents like walk into the play area to see what's going on, and they have Africa, and it's like a constant scenery where it's just Africa, lions, and the parents kind of get like this little eerie feeling like, oh, maybe this isn't too normal. This seems a little too violent for our kids.
This isn't Lion King. This is like real lions eating things. Yeah. They smell blood in the air. The lions are ripping it and they're going, yeah, so.
So the parents are worried. They're like, this can't actually hurt our kids. It's just like AI. It's the metaverse, you know? The kids' metaverse. Can't actually hurt them.
Yeah, it is a metaverse, kind of, in a way.
But they just keep on feeling weird, and then they get all on the kids like, hey, why aren't you guys envisioning any other thing? And then the wife goes on and she's talking about how she's like, maybe we should disconnect the vault, you know, maybe we need a little break from technology. Saying that she feels kind of, what was the word she said? Kind of saying like they have no purpose anymore, really. Like even telling the husband like, oh, you smoke so much now, and you know, every night. The
machines are doing everything. They're really useless.
Isn't that crazy? That's the one thing that I was thinking about. So I'll come back to this at the end. We're doing our reflections. But yeah, back to the story. So they're kind of thinking about like, what is this playpen? It's kind of like a reflection of the kids, you know, wants and desires and imagination. So they get more worried, and they bring in this other guy who's like kind of like the mechanic kind of guy to come check it out and see like, what is it? What's going on? And the mechanic guy says, oh, well, we always knew that your kids were kind of spoiled. You spoil your kids more than the rest of the other families, but...
He's also like a psychologist, too.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, this isn't good. They might be angry or something, but this is wrong. He's very like persistent on saying like, this is not normal for a kid. Africa. Like lions, like a constant lion. That's not normal for a kid.
Yeah, that's not normal at all.
So he insists on shutting it down, and of course the parents are telling their kids like, okay, Peter, what was the other girl's name? Kids. Not okay. We're taking away your alternate reality.
Get to the car. We're going on a trip.
So they're like, and the kids are like, no, Dad, don't take away our Africa simulation. So yeah, they get all upset about it, and the parents keep on hearing screams in the vault, you know, from time to time. And so that's kind of happening throughout the story. Eventually, the parents head into their room, and just like for the last time, and what happens? They just get stuck, or?
They're like, I recognize those screams now. There are screams.
Yeah, the lions that were in the distance are like prowling, you know, like towards them. And in their heads, they're like, oh, this isn't actually gonna hurt us. But as you see, like they try to change the room, they try to do everything, but
they try and shut off.
And then switch over to the kids outside of the room having a little picnic, and the mechanic guy is like, hey, where are your parents? They're
you know.
I don't know, they'll be here shortly. End the story.
It's a little ambiguous if they actually get eaten. Could the walls hurt them? Could the nursery hurt them?
Maybe the vultures were just flying around just cause.
But it's weird, so it kind of seems like the kids were envisioning their parents getting eaten. That's why they were hearing all the screams. And they found their like wallet or something. They found articles of clothing that belonged to them.
A little scarf, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're like, wait a second, the kids were envisioning killing us with lions this whole time. That's creepy.
Yeah, because the psychologist was even like, oh, it's like this room, this playden is more of parental figures than you guys. So
they're bigger parents. And I like, again, it is very 50s-esque. I like how the dad is kind of emotionless for a little bit. And I like how, you know, they're like, oh, we're gonna shut this all down. And the dad goes, yeah, I'm shutting the whole house down. We've had enough of this. And then the mom, she was the one who originally had the idea of like, oh, this is not good. But I like how she has the compassion in this. She's like, oh, just let the kids have it for 5 more minutes. Even, I don't know.
I thought it was the dad who had him more. It wasn't like he was no like emotion. I think he was just so used to technology that he was like, I guess, kind of naive, you know, like
I'm
so used to
like
it
that bland 50s kind of. Oh, I guess I am smoking more, honey. I never seen no nose. I've been drinking more, haven't I? Oh, haha.
Yeah. So he's very reliant on technology, I thought. So yeah, makes you think. What's it gonna be like in the future? Are we all just gonna become so like, I don't know, just not really useful anymore? Like no purpose after a while.
I feel like we already are.
Once you don't, well, we're not to that extent yet. Machine still needs us to run it, but that house fully sustainable by itself. You know, you need to go over and start the coffee machine. You need to go over, turn on your electricity. But in this future that he wrote, there is no need for him. So
again, it is a very like American dream 50s house type of the house runs itself. And I think it's more in our timeline, you know, in our future, it's more like people being addicted to their phones, never putting their phones down all the time, having really low attention spans and stuff like that, algorithms. So I think that's where we're heading. People don't care about starting the coffee machine, but although we will get there, I think we will have like the automation. I think is a lot more how much brain power is actually used by the majority of the population and who's just a drone on their phone.
This reminded me of iPad babies too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like the Playden being the ones actually like supervising and like taking care of, spending more time with the kids. This reminds me of like an iPad. Babies are so drawn to their little...
We're not raising the children anymore.
Exactly, and you see how like the kids kind of start resenting the parents, like, oh, don't take away my Playden. I care about them more than you. So... Yeah.
Like instead of like robots taking care of the kids, which is how the old thinking would have been like when this book was written, like, oh, robots are gonna raise their kids. Now it's not that, it's just that iPads are raising our kids. It's still like, you know, this technology that's doing it more than people are. Yeah. And it's gonna make some psychopaths probably.
I know, yeah. Kids envisioning their parents getting mauled by lions. So, yeah, even though this was written so long ago, it's still something that like you can kind of relate to now, which is bonkers. Which is what I like. That's what I like. Like a kind of like a weird, very far out story, but still, if you think about it, it makes you think like what's actually gonna happen in the future. What's it kind of like now? So, yeah. So that was the first story.
First story down, guys.
Correct.
Next illustration.